Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for September of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening this month. Well, hey there, Sagittarius. Juno is traveling along through your ninth house, and that is a house that is dear to your heart because it has to do with all things growthful and adventurous. This is a house of exploration. It's a house of travel. It's a house of growing in the mind as well, like higher education and philosophy and exploring your worldview. So one of the great benefits of having Juno passing through this house, which she does sometime during every 4-year period, and she spends a couple of months here when she does. But one of the great benefits is that all of her great partnership instincts come into play in this domain. So this can have so many fun implications. It's a great time for adventures with your spouse, if you have one, or your long-term relationship. It's a great time to travel and maybe meet somebody who might be attractive to you if you are single. You might even find yourself interested to date somebody who is exotic to you in some way, somebody who's from a different cultural background. And you certainly would be interested if you do start a relationship while Juno is passing through your ninth house. Chances are it will be a relationship that provides opportunities for you and your partner to grow and expand over the years. So another great feature of Juno passing through the ninth house is that if you feel like you and your partner are not aligned in your worldview, this can be a really good time for having some conversations and discussions that might bring you into more alignment. Now, if your worldview is derived from your religion of childhood and your partner doesn't share your religion, I wouldn't say that this is a really good time to go, cramming your opinions down their throat. Absolutely not. But you might find if you have a warm, open, and frank discussion of the core, the beautiful core of your religion that you feel the most strongly about, you might even find that your partner shares some aspects of your worldview and you didn't even realize it. And that could feel really good. Now, Ceres starts the month traveling through Libra, and she's been here already in and out of your 11th house for much of the year since February. So I'm not going to say a ton about it, and she's about to leave this house. But I do want to say that if you have not sought a group experience and group support for any of Ceres' themes yet this year, you should probably do it now before Ceres leaves this house. This is a house of groups and organizations, networks, and friendship. It's also a house of experimentation, like a laboratory. It's a great house for advancing like new ideas that you maybe never thought of before. Ceres herself has themes of the stuff that connects us to the physical world: food, body, and money. So this is a great time to, join that group for trying out a new diet to see how it feels in your body. This is a really great time to experiment with your money, to try running your money in different ways. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about investing because that's an 8th house thing, but I am talking about asking yourself how you might risk and what sorts of experiments might yield interesting results. To actually experiment with a little deliberate and self-imposed volatility in your finances. You might find that there's some form of leap available that you didn't even know about. So, and there might be groups that could help you think that one through too. So food, body, money. This might be a really great time to start taking that yoga class that you've always wanted to take. those are the sorts of things you want to do while Ceres remains in your 11th house. Now, she is going to move on out of this house and come into your 12th house right here on September 15th. And the 12th house is a house where things fall apart, a house where things disintegrate. It is a house of solitude and retreat. And whatever you've been working on and building, as Ceres has been moving through the previous houses, can have a tendency to fall apart or come to a natural close so that it can be reborn when Ceres moves into the first house. So if you have been developing health routines, and if you have been working on your diet or building up your finances this year, when Ceres enters your 12th house, could be the time in which you decide to relax about it. And that can be a good thing, and it can be a bad thing. It's really your decision about, how that looks in your life. So when you stop paying attention to it, is it going to run because you built it really strong? Is it going to just work without you? Are those routines so good, so solid that you're going to get up every day and you're not going to forget any part of it? Because that can absolutely happen during this passage of Ceres through your 12th house. And she's going to be here for about 2 months starting September 15th. So this would be a time to really shore up those routines if they seem like they want to start to fall apart. And then another thing that I really like to recommend when Ceres is passing through your 12th house is to go out and commune with nature. Remind yourself that you are an animal. You live in an animal, a mammalian body, and that you need to connect with nature in order to be reminded of your instincts and to fully occupy your own skin. So that might mean taking the dog for more walks. It might mean getting out there and doing some hiking. It might mean meditating underneath your favorite tree. I don't know what it means for you, but getting out there in nature can be such a wonderful support to Ceres during this transit. Now, the last thing I want to tell you about is that Jupiter, everybody's friend, is traveling through your 6th house this month and will be in this house all year and is going to go retrograde this month and begin his annual retrograde journey. Now, Jupiter is a luck bringer, and how that happens is wherever Jupiter goes, he brings confidence, the spirit of adventure, and a willingness and ability to grow, and also the restlessness to make you want to grow. While Jupiter is in your 6th house, this is absolutely a job or career luck period. It's a whole year of luck on the job. This is just fantastic. There's a number of different ways it could play out. One is if you work with people, if you work with clients, if you have customers, if you have products that you run, you can grow the systems that roll out all the good stuff that you provide through your job. You can improve how you manage things, how you manage your day, get a new calendaring system, color code and organize things, alphabetize things, and create systems that make the whole thing a well-running machine. And that can feel really good and be a support to you in future years, even after Jupiter has moved on. Also, this can be a great year for hiring. You can find yourself hiring just the right person for the job. If you're in a position where you need support people, this is a great year to find them and to find really solid people who can help you in the ways that you need and who you can trust to delegate those tasks to. Now, if you are an employee and you go to a job, certainly the part that I said about systems could benefit you, but also you can be such a congenial worker during Jupiter's passage through your 6th house that the higher ups notice you and want to promote you. Another great feature about Jupiter transits is that they can bestow confidence and charisma. You can find yourself feeling your worth, your value, and how much good you're doing and how hard you're working. and for you to overcome, I would say some natural humbleness, but Sagittarius, you might just not roll that way. But it might be that when you are on the job, you really do like to put your nose to the grindstone, and this transit of Jupiter can give you all of the confidence and the enthusiasm you need to work harder, and then point to that, point to how effective you're being, and ask for more. Ask for better benefits, ask for a move up to the next level. Whatever it is you've had your eye on, this could be the year when you move up to that great new step. I do want to add that Jupiter, when Jupiter goes retrograde around the 4th of the month, right here, and enters into his annual retrograde period, it's going to last through the end of the year and into the beginning of next year, that Jupiter will take you on an inward journey to really dig out all of the confidence and enthusiasm that you can bring to your job. And it might bring on a great deal of restlessness. And while Jupiter is retrograde, if you feel like there's no growth potential in your job, you might well look for another job and find something really great. So keep your eyes open for that too, Sagittarius. Hey, Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Sages of the world?
Hey, there's Sag. Well, we have 2 planets going direct this month, so that's very, very good news. Venus, the love planet, the planet of relationships, starts the month retrograde in your 9th house, and she's only retrograde for the first few days. She goes direct on the 3rd. Now, for the past few weeks, we've all been dealing with Venus retrograde. It's been a time of relationship review in our lives. So if you are in a relationship, you could be reviewing your relationship through 9th house matters. This is a house of legal affairs, beliefs, religion, travel, just personal growth in general. So if you are in a relationship, you could be wondering, whether your partner and you are suited in terms of your beliefs. Do you share the same beliefs, maybe even the same religion? And does that cause an issue if you don't? Maybe one of you loves to travel and the other doesn't. And maybe this is kind of creating a rift that makes you sort of going back over things and seeing, whether there's more stuff that you guys can work on together. Now, if you're single, you might be thinking about your next relationship through these terms as well, especially if they were problems in the last relationship. Now, when Venus goes direct on September 3rd, these issues are going to become a lot easier. And for the rest of the month, it's going to be a fabulous time to enjoy a shared adventure with your partner. Do something new together, expand your horizons together, maybe go on a trip, maybe go learn something new together, maybe even go to church or temple together too, which is ruled by the 9th house. That could be just a point of growth in your relationship. And if you're single, then if you can travel a little bit by after the 3rd, maybe you'll have a nice holiday romance too. Now, Mercury, the other planet that starts off the month retrograde, is having this whole cycle in your 10th house. This is a house of authority figures, of career. And, Mercury retrogrades are just kind of squirrely times. They can create a lot of miscommunications and also review as well in our lives. So you could be thinking a lot about your career. Maybe you have to go back and re-edit your, your resume if you're thinking of applying to new jobs. Maybe you're having miscommunications with your boss or other authority figures in your life who are ruled by the 10th house. This can be a time that just gets a little frustrating with your reputation too, since the 10th house is also the house of reputation, where maybe there's just kind of things that you have to go back and straighten out with other people. Now, on September 6th, Mercury conjoins the sun while retrograde. We call that Lesser Epiphany Day. It's a time of insights, especially into these confusing 10th house matters. So you might have some aha moments about your career. Do you want to switch it up? Do you want to stay in the same career? Maybe you're having some insights about those miscommunications you've been having with your boss. That can help out a lot. And on September 15th, Mercury finally goes direct. By the end of the month, he's moving real fast in the sky. And it's going to be a time where you can get a lot of positive and constructive planning and strategizing around your career done. And it can also be a very fruitful time if you do any writing for career or teaching or even transportation, like if you drive an Uber on the side. This could be a good time for your career after the 15th. And then finally, I've got to say a few things about Mars, that planet of action and activity. He's in your 11th house all month. Wherever we have Mars is where we can be very driven, but where we can also run into flare-ups and frustrations. So the 11th house rules your friends. It rules any groups you're a part of. It's also your long-term goals. It's known as the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. When Mars is in the 11th, you could be feeling super impatient, just wanting to grab your goals right away, get your dreams right away. And it might be frustrating if you still need to spend some time working on them. Mars in the 11th can be great if you're doing some kind of team effort in your life, if you're getting together with friends or any other work groups, especially professional groups. This could really help just to get all together and get a lot of work out. If you have friends and you can do activities together, maybe do maybe go on a bike ride with a couple of your friends. That could be a fabulous way to deal with this transit, because if you don't get the energy out in a constructive way, Mars in the 11th can be flare-ups with friends, flare-ups with the groups you're a part of, and even a little bit of competition, which, can happen among friends sometimes. So definitely try to find a way to get active with a group of people or get a lot of hard work done and apply yourself to your goals. But just remember, you might need to tell yourself to be a little bit more patient.
Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fascinating, but they're also not personalized for you. That's why we run live workshops monthly where you can get answers about your own chart. This month's topic is optimizing Mercury retrograde for writers, managers, and learners. Mercury retrogrades are notorious for making a mess of your office, your paperwork, your projects, and your brain. But it doesn't have to be that way. In this workshop, I'll explain how to handle this difficult transit just in time for back to school. This workshop is expressly for our Demigod Patreon subscribers who pay only $15 a month for access to live events like this one. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Well, I've got two moons to tell you about. The first one is the new moon in Virgo, which lands right here in your 10th house. And I think you may find yourself working really hard under this particular new moon. And it's such a good time for beginning things, beginning projects, or planting seeds that can grow your reputation in the future. New moons are really good for planting seeds. They're good for new starts. This one we're calling Seeds of Selfless Service because it is in Virgo. And also because the opposition to Neptune brings in themes of metaphysical service, spiritual service, added onto the themes of practical physical service. So, and this landing in your 10th house the way it does, this is the house of career and authority. It's the house of building things. Anything that happens or that occupies the 10th house is something that you may have to work on. So you might have to really break new ground to plant the seeds that you are planting during this new moon. And those could really be built and grow into something fantastic over time, even though for now, under the actual moon itself, you may not be aware of what they're going to grow into. You don't even have to know what they're going to grow into to put in an effort to make sure that that seed is a good, strong one. So this is a really good moon in the career arena. Then we have the full moon in Aries, which is coming later in the month on the 29th. This one lands in your 5th house. This is a house of creation, recreation, and procreation. It's a house of fun, pleasure, play, entertainment, and hobbies. I also like to think of it as the house of your personal brand. This is the house in which you discover who you really, really are and figure out how to project that into the world so that you can be an authentic person, a real person. Now, this full moon can help you with that because the moon in Aries is like Captain Obvious. This is not a moon that can hide. This is a moon that tends to blurt out one's opinions and leap into action in a hasty, impulsive way. This moon can get irritated and frustrated when things aren't moving fast enough, and it can be a rather self-absorbed moon. So I think that you may be feeling a lot of those ways, and you may even be projecting, your most honest and direct self, but a little bit unvarnished. It wouldn't be surprising if under this moon you were met by opposition, met in the form of an opposition with somebody representing for this Sun in Libra and Pallas Athena in Libra, which is to say, probably because these are in the 11th house, this would be a friend or somebody in a community that you share who wants to bring you some more balancing feedback, some mirroring, and some reflection that is more rational and more wise and more socially adept. And so it wouldn't be surprising if there were some pretty strong opinions, maybe a big temper that shows up under this moon. Whether that's yours or another person's is yet to be seen until the moon actually happens. But if it's yours, you can definitely know that when somebody pushes back against you, like a friend who reflects to you that you're just being too hot-headed, that is definitely the time to cool your jets. Now, this moon, we're calling it the sacred fire of self-care because of this placement of Vesta as the handle of a T-square with the Sun, Moon, and Pallas Athena. And Vesta in Cancer wants you to build a sacred space for self-care, and in it to balance your will and your needs with the will and needs of other people. So Vesta is here to help this balance come about. Probably not the easiest, and possibly accompanied by some emotional outbursts, but this can be a very instructive and useful full moon. So I want to talk now about the seasonal shift. And as you can see, over the course of the month, there's a lot of movement of planets. Let me show it to you this way. Along your 9th house, your 10th house, and your 11th house. And the 9th house emphasis is all about growth and expansion. And one thing that neither Julia nor I mentioned, which might be useful to say, is that if you're involved in divorce proceedings, this could be a really good month for those to go along smoothly, for things to get untangled as Venus goes direct, and maybe even for feeling more supported by your lawyer. But in the main, the 9th house is about growth and expansion, and there's plenty of emphasis here. But as the month goes on, the emphasis shifts more towards 10th house matters, bringing your attention to your career and how you can develop and build on your reputation in your career and be a leader in your career and in your place of work. And the Sun in particular on the equinox is going to change houses and move on into your 11th house, bringing the emphasis here to the realm of friends and community, groups and tribe. And also, I like to think of the 11th house as the place of experiment, like a laboratory, a place for trying out new, perhaps wacky ideas.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share these videos with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. Enjoy the equinox, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.